Hey guys, ice is nice.
I mean, it's good for keeping your drinks cool.
Okay. So, of the Jøtun, ice giants definitely tend to be the most common used in media with Norse
Nice
mythology.
to meet you. Jormungandr, son of Loki and slayer of Thor.
Wait, but that's the snake, isn't it?
Well, yes, but since it's a World Serpent, that means it can also go underwater. So here's your gimmick for this level. You having ice physics, because of course, on top of this, frozen lake. So don't worry about falling into the water. You technically can't, even if it breaks. But as you can see, not every part under the lake has some degree of, of rock, with that has some water in it. And it's possible that someone or something lurks under the water.
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really clock that as a knack reference because it sounds like something that would be said in Sonic Boom, so I thought it was from that.
That says a lot about the
believe
quality
it or
of
not,
writing for both products.
believe it or not, Shirai, Sonic Boom had more dignity in the... the game specifically.
The bounce pad game did not have more dignity.
I swear, I hate how I have to clarify every time when I'm complimenting Sonic Boom that it's mostly the show that's good, the video games not as much, but hey, apparently the 3DS games did good enough to warrant a sequel, yo.
When I talk about bad writing for Sonic Boom, I'm explicitly talking about the games. I have not seen the TV show outside of a handful of episodes.
Rings, nom 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 nom.
Here's your next power-up, and this is pretty obvious from, the namesake that Thor is actually carrying. And this is actually a very important one.
It makes sense since, Thor's big climactic battle in Ragnarok.
The strength of Mjolnir is bestowed upon me. Held Thor, Gall Thunder, and Bravery. What it basically does is to power up temporarily your axe so that it creates a ghostly hammer that deals significantly more damage. It doesn't last that long, so you need to time it just right so your attack can actually inflict more damage properly.
How funny, this was a few years before Thor would get a battle axe in the MCU.
Well, I forgot the name of the second weapon that he gets, Thunder Strike, no.
Is that based off of a weapon he gets in mythology?
Yes, the one that Arabiel eventually carries when he cannot wield Mjolnir anymore. But I don't remember the exact name right now. I normally am used to remembering a lot because it was more prominent in the 90s when Thor was drawn in very, very bad artwork.
Welcome to a land that I swear is in every single one of these kinds of movies.
Well, yeah, this is just, the land of the frost giant in itself.
Yeah, whether it's to do with Vikings or not, everything in a historical setting similar to this has to have some sort of ice world.
All right.
Okay, now in some versions
starting also with this, whatever is in the water will start to lurk more, and you need to move away like in that sequence from Page Master because this shit happens.
Jormungandr is like a dragon rat.
Yes, Jormungandr is just, a bit too eager to try to catch you. Thankfully, the Nine Rivers, the poisonous water they birth to Ymir and the frost giants. Jormungandr is just a bit too eager to try to chomp you. Thankfully, it cannot actually, kill you outright or drag you in the water, so it's not an insta-kill, but it will give you a significant amount of damage if you're not careful. Thankfully, thanks to the ice physics, it's very easy to avoid, but it can still, instill a sense of, tension in you, potentially.
Plus, the shadow seems to give you, at least a few seconds to...
Yeah, again, I'm just reminded of that sequence with Moby Dick in Page Master, where the whale just comes from under.
Yes. Also, I guess it makes sense... Makes sense you get Thor's power-ups here, given the ties Thor has with
Again,
Twisted my tongue there.
Jormungandr, or as it's instead called in some cases Miðgarðsormr, because it's a World Serpent, so the one that travels through Midgard. Now, if you notice, Jormungandr can also break the ice that you're standing upon, and I haven't tested it that much, but I guess it's possible that if it breaks it too many, it can potentially be temporary soft locked. You need to restart the level because the path is broken. But that's theoretical. Well, that's the thing, Joe. It's theoretical because you really should need to try to fuck things over this way, because the lake is very huge, as you can see, and the rune is actually fairly easy to get when you get down to it. So there you go. It's right there in center north. So you really need to try to fuck yourself over.
I guess it's only really a problem if you have to try and backtrack or, make your way to other places
and again,
back from where you came.
When you restart the level, the link is reset like this, so it doesn't, the holes are not carried over, basically.
I was gonna ask if it regenerates or something.
Yeah, it basically resets completely. The only thing that stays are the collectibles that you carried.
Þú hefur fundið rúnina við stöðuvatn Jörmungandurs. Haltu áfram að kanna svæðið eða snúðu aftur í Ginnungagard.
We just collected the rune of Jormungandr. I actually don't know who the Icelandic voice actors are, because I don't think IMDb actually credits them, and I couldn't even find them on behind the voice actors, so I really don't know who they got. I know that the original Reddit post that was actually recruiting them did have some suggestions, but I have no idea if they are there or not. I don't even think they actually are mentioning the game's credits, which is a kind of a shame, considering the kind of time that they have.
I do appreciate the earnest nature of literally going to Reddit and going, "Hey, you want to try out for this voice acting position?"
Rivers from the beginning of the world. Again, Trova, the Clair Obscure Expedition 33 did something similar to that back when it was still having a very limited amount of budget and was not financed yet by the French government, It's actually very common that small teams will actually try to scout around, when, some talent may be lurked one nearby. I don't know how much common it is these days, but for a while, at least in the 2010s, it was a thing. Anyway, the gimmick in this is that occasionally there will be a storm, and you need to get behind those pillars until it passes away, otherwise your health gets chipped a bit.
I thought it was going to be you get insta-killed by bloody blown away in the wind.
Thankfully, no. Thora is very resilient, so she's not gonna be carried away by just, a measly, icy wind. Again, the rocks with the ice protruding give you a sense of idea where you should be standing in order to shield yourself. It's the kind of example that I say it's a go-to in order to have the environment tell you where you need to go without being obnoxious. The kind of argument where it's continue circling around about the infamous yellow paint. This is actually a good example because it's very, organic with what the game tells you, even if it's a bit, it might feel too obvious, it just feels natural.
Although, ironically, this would be one of the few cases where you could say the gods willed it to excuse the yellow paint.
Potentially, or maybe make it glow. If it was like a godly thing, it will have it, potentially shine a bit.
Yeah. Again, I don't want to demonize yellow paint all too much, because for when it first started out, I get why it was a thing, but I do get how it kind of became a bit of an annoying crutch that developers relied on.
It was basically used in a lazy kind of manner. There was a video that you posted recently to me, Jova, that showcases that Capcom took seriously the complaint that people had for Resident Evil 4 Remake, and instead in Resident Evil 9, the same idea of guiding the player with, color and environmental cues is there, but is much more organic that potentially you may not even feel it, or you feel it's natural enough.
Exactly,
Elder of Mirskal, the dwarf Norfri, master of the North Wind. He literally holds a constellation on his back.
I'm not sure if I mentioned this on commentary before, but I might have brought it up just in conversation. Stray has like an interesting way of doing that, where because of the rundown nature of the environment and like how industrial some of it is, a lot of the like what they use in place of yellow paint is like the black and yellow caution tape.
Yeah, I remember actually seeing
like
that
the
from a
indicate
playthrough.
steps kind of thing. They use that instead.
I mentioned this
Like-
a couple of times. I don't know if you remember, Shira. I mentioned also as an example Mirror's Edge, which is a game that I will record eventually because I know you might be interested in it. And one of the big gimmicks is that the protagonist being an experienced parkourer.
You have found both ruins of Issa, the winter Jøtun who lies dormant under the crust of the earth. Yeah, I can barely read the text because it's blending in with the...
A shadow, shadow over it, or one of those black, backgrounds would have out. Again,
I was literally gonna say white text in the winter level.
I appreciate
Genius.
I appreciate that it's not as small as it's in Remember Me, because that is just even in high resolution, because in that game it just sucks, this is not on the same level of games which have accessibility options for it specifically. Yes,
Not
Shira?
even that, like, because I don't find this particular thing very helpful because it's not prominent enough compared to a solid background, but the texture doesn't even seem to have, like, a drop shadow or an outline.
Yeah,
It's like
it has an outline,
it's like-
but it's very thin, I can tell you that.
Mm.
It's like, look, it might have worked for all the other levels when it was white text on dark backgrounds, but again, we're in the winter level with white text. Do the math.
Yeah, that's kind of an oversight, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, to mention, Mirror's Edge, again, since the protagonist is an experienced parkourer, she has basically a toggle on and off parkour vision, quote unquote, which lets her see which are the better environment that she can use to properly parkour, and are basically pieces of the environment that gets instead highlighted in red. It's kind of similar to the contrast mode that is, keeping in accessibility these days, but it's integrated in the plot. It's just, the character having the insight of where is the best place for her to jump, wall climb and everything. And because the environment uses a lot of clean colors like white, yellow, and blue, it actually gives a more pleasant way of looking. And since it's integrated better in the plot, it's something that you can toggle on and off if you want. It can potentially allow the challenges for those who actually don't need it. And this was a game done in 2010 by EA.
Yes, Remember Me, the parkour game not to be confused with Mirror's Edge.
Remember Me was instead the 2013 Capcom video game, and it was just Capcom because the developer was not able to find a publisher, for their game.
Well, that's what I was saying. Remember Me, not to be confused with Mirror's Edge, which, when you get down to it, have some similarities. A parkour artist of sorts in a relatively futuristic aesthetic, having to romp around.
Although Mirror's Edge is very different how it works because it tries to avoid combat as much as possible. Anyway, here's your next power-up, the one that you probably should have got at the beginning of the game because it's your speed-up function.
Very lovely.
Mighty speed is bestowed upon me, Hail Freya, goddess of war and fertility.
Because, yes, what we associate with speed is war and fertility.
Sorry, Drova, sorry, Drova, we gotta need to, make babies faster so we can get to the next pillaging.
Make babies fast so we can fill up Valhalla more.
Valhalla is underpopulated, question mark?
Who knows?
According to the medieval franchise, possibly. Yeah, that was kind of, okay, I don't think they call it Valhalla, but it's more or less Valhalla when you get down to it, that Sir Dan Fortescue is trying to get to.
It's more of a case, well, to be fair, Medieval showcases that it's just, warriors from all over the world, and it's more of a case of, again, it's kind of like the Hall of Heroes, kind of like the Hall of Justice for DC Comics. It's more of it has the same principle, a place where warriors after they die can rest and tell stories about their epic deeds, but it's not exclusively reflective of Norse culture because there are warriors from, different places of the planet. I don't remember who the voice actors were for the English version of Medieval, but I can tell you that the ones that they got for my country are just not particularly great, unfortunately. And like I said, they just recycled that for the PS4 remake, so, it's not the biggest upgrade in terms of listening. So thankfully, they can just stick to the English, the original dub.
Wait. So you're saying that they literally recycled a dub from years ago for the remake?
Yes, but in order to again, that's the thing that they did also for the English version, Jova. Instead of actually recasting or re-recording all of their lines like we were mentioning before, they just copy-pasted the entire audio script that was read for the PS1 game onto the PS4 remake. And they did the same thing for the other multi-language dubs.
I must be having a Mandela effect because I could have sworn there were new lines added in the remake.
There was the only thing that he did added was a narration from Laini Minella, which describes a bit, for example, the level intros and an encyclopedia that you find in the village level of Gallomir. But that's it.
So I guess when we do eventually cover Medieval, we'll probably just do the remake and Resurrection.
Yes, technically. Anyway, Isa, Rune of Ice, Stillness and Power. Like Gallomir, I need to activate the checkpoint. There you go.
Alright.
You're not
I like
doing
how
anything productive anyway.
I was pondering in that pool. It's very important.
Pondering.
It's so weird, though. Like, again, I always have this Mandela effect whenever I think of Medieval. Like, I always feel like the first game was mostly minimalistic and had little to no voice acting.
No, it actually has quite a lot, actually. Alright, here's your next boss fight, which was, plastered all over the place in the marketing campaign, in the Kickstarter campaign, and it's on the game's, cover, at least for the Steam version. I mean, it is the quintessential Jøtun, just this dude with an icy beard and hair and, caveman loincloth.
Now this is the aesthetic you usually expect from a Jøtun in Norse mythology with how much they focus on the ice giants, but I'll admit, with how he was buried, I kind of initially thought he was a dog's ass.
Okay.
Imagine if he had actually been Fenrir.
The challenge for this one is managing to defeat him only by using the specific move that allows you to, throw the icicles against him. It's actually one of the more difficult because it requires even more patience than the other giants, but it is still possible.
I love that reaction he makes before he faints. Like,
it's
that
like,
looks
oh,
like
shit.
It's straight. It looks like an expression straight out of Undertale. Whoop!
And it's basically your occasion in order to actually deal him extra damage. However, when he gets on the second half, it turns the floor into ice. So, you have now to deal with ice physics. It's lovely.
I am reminded of Polar Night.
Except, without the brooding. Because that was his entire... Again, his entire characterization, because Polar Knight was hinting that he was knowing something more about Shovel Knight's past, but because he never got his dedicated campaign, we never learned.
I swear, that was one misfire, I think, on the team's part. Lovely game, but they hinted at way too much that hinged on, oh, will we actually get to do this or that?
Again, the only one that I still argue is more of a waste opportunity is Black Knight, ultimately, because that was the one character that really felt, knew something more about it, but the game sternly refused to elaborate in any campaign.
I wonder, do you think
There you go,
maybe...
And he turns into ice. What killed the dinosaurs?
The Ice Age! Oh, shoot, we're gonna do them like that.
Got
Fertility.
snowbraved.
Sub-Zero would be proud.
What a way to go.
But yeah, do you ever think that maybe... I mean, I love the different campaigns
You
they
have
gave to all the
impressed the
different knights.
gods.
Thank
They are
you.
very
Again.
They are very easily impressed.
Thank you, Odin
What?
Senpai.
Why do I
Anyway,
get the feeling the Jotun won't appreciate how we impress the gods?
the screams of my companions and enemies were swallowed by the crash of thunder. I could taste the dirt and blood in my mouth. My clothes clung to my skin as I ran to my foes, burying the blade of my axe into anyone who challenged me. Through the storm, I saw my father and a dark silhouette behind him. I yelled out a warning, but it was in vain. My father was killed. Fury overcame me when I saw that. Upon my father's remains stood my brother. My mourning screams pierced the sky as I realized his betrayal. Revenge came swiftly, as I sacrificed my brother's life to the Old Father. So, you know,
Well, at least she
traditional
dealt with
family
that
reunions,
quickly.
You know.
Well, I see she dealt with the problem quickly. I hope Odin appreciates the sacrifice.
And you know what they say, an eye for an eye leaves the war blind. Anyway, tune in for the next part, where we instead move to the realm of the sky, as you'll be able to see. See ya.
So yeah.
See ya.